Okay, so ratio conversions. You could be given the conversion or you might have to remember them. So it depends on the question. 1 centimetre is 10 millimetres. That fact can be found on your ruler. Now you can use ratio and you might not use ratio, depends kind of your method. So centimetres to millimetres, for every 1 centimetre it is 10 millimetres. The question's asking how many centimetres is 120. So we want to know how many centimetres is 120 millimetres. So the 120 goes under the millimetre side. You then just need to work out what you're multiplying 10 by to get to 120. So 10 times something equals 120. Use your inverse operations to get you the question mark. It's going to be 120 instead of times by 10, inverse, divide by 10. So place value would get you question mark. That must tell us we are timesing by 12. Remember, if it is a calculator paper, you could do that step on the calculator. It's no equivalent ratios, so times by 12, 1 times 12 is 12. So that tells us the answer to the question is 12 centimetres. Like I said, this isn't the only method. So let's have a think about a second option. How do you get from centimetres to millimetres? So if we look at the ratio centimetres to millimetres, how do you get from 1 centimetre to 10 millimetres? You times by 10. So if you want to get from centimetres to millimetres, you times by 10. Inverse operation, if you want to get from millimetres to centimetres, you divide by 10. So if we use that method, we'd do to get from millimetres to centimetres, we would use the first part of the question, 120 millimetres divided by 10 to get to centimetres, and that would still be the same answer, 12. So there's multiple ways you can do it. Have a look at question 2. We want to do 8.5 centimetres to millimetres. Same facts. 1 centimetre is 10 millimetres. And we want to change 8.5. So this time the 8.5 is going under the centimetres into millimetres. 1 times something gets us 8.5. If we think about it, 1 times 8 would be 8. So to get to 8.5, you'd have to times by 8.5. So do the same to both sides. 10 times 8.5 or 8.5 times 10. And again, place value is going to get you 85 millimetres. Remember, if it's calculator, do that on the calculator to avoid any mistakes. Again, you could have done the second method if you think about what we said at the top. So 1 centimetre is 10 millimetres, and to get from centimetres to millimetres, using that first thing that we said at the top, you could have times by 10. So you could have just saw that as well. So times by 10, it would have still been the same answer. Either way you do it, 85. Okay, on to a second example then. If we look at the next part. So, a map scale is 1 to 20,000. So 1 to 20,000. Now, what that means is if you measure 1 centimetre, so this is 1 centimetre, technically like measuring it on paper or on like a map, is worth 20,000 centimetres, but only that's in the real life. So, the question says a distance on a map is measured. So on a map, so that's not real life, that is 5.6. Let's do that again. So on the map, we've got 5.6. So the 5.6, that's not the real life part, that's on the paper, on the map, it's 5.6. And we want to know what's the actual distance in real life. So that's what we're trying to work out. What is that part in real life? And it says give your answer in metres. We're currently in centimetres. So for every 1 centimetre measured on paper is 20,000 centimetres in real life. So we now need to just work that out. So to get from 1 centimetre on paper to 5.6, that would be times by 5.6. So you would need to do the same to both sides. So 20,000 times 5.6. You can grab your calculator for that. That's going to give you 112,000. However, if you didn't have a calculator, to times by the 20,000. So times by 20,000 is the same as times in by 2 and 10,000. So you could double the 5.6, so 5.6 times 2 is 11.2, and then times by 10,000 is where that comes from, the 112,000. Okay, so we still haven't quite finished the question. The question asked to give your answer in metres, so we've currently got our answer. Our current answer is 112,000 centimetres. We need to change that into metres. So 1 metre is 100 centimetres. So 100 centimetres is 1 metre. If you think about our ratio, if we know what our metres are, to get to that, that's times by 100. So to get from centimetres into metres, we need to divide by 100. So taking our answer, 112,000, and divide it by 100 to get your answer into metres, that's going to give us 1,120 metres. Alternatively, you could have done it the other way using your ratio, because we know that 100 centimetres is a metre. We'd be changing the 112,000 into metres. So this is in centimetres. How do you get from 100 to 112,000? That's going to be using, again, your inverse operation. 100 times something equals 112,000. Therefore the question mark is going to be 112,000 divided by 100. That question mark is going to give us 1,120. Therefore we can times that side by it. So times by 1,120 gives us the same answer, 1,120 metres.